Stats in a Wrap, the podcast series from Eurostat.
Mer investido.
På vår kognitiva förmåga.
Statistics are useful throughout for everybody.
Como he dicho, para mejorar su información y
las capacidades de aprendizaje para las...
à trouver des moyens de divertissement.
Welcome to Stats in a Wrap, the podcast all about statistics from Eurostat, the statistical office of the European Union. I'm Jonathan Elliot, your host for this episode. Now, if you've been listening to our podcasts, you'll know that we think data are delicious. And we love nothing more than inviting you, our listeners, to share our passion for the numbers that reveal the truths about the world around us. Today, we're going to be delving into the world of the European Statistics Competition, an increasingly popular annual battle of wits and creativity in which young people use the power of video to communicate complex concepts in official statistics. The contest is open to all EU member states, as well as the EFTA countries Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. And this year, 19 member states are participating, and along with them, Iceland and Liechtenstein. And while it's great fun, and the videos do offer highly entertaining as well as very informative viewing, it's also very important with a serious side. Because, let us not forget, we live in an information-saturated society with often declining levels of numeracy, especially in the under-25s. So what can a video competition do to help give young people more confidence and better insights into the world of official statistics and their power to inform us and enable good decisions? Can a teenage project seriously fight misinformation? Is statistical literacy the secret weapon Gen Z didn't know they had? And how, as a teacher, do you help young people handle the science of uncertainty in a world that prefers guarantees? Today, we'll unpack all of that and more with the help of some of the people behind the competition and those working to make statistics relevant, exciting, and yes, even cool. Well, we love stats here in the Wrap Cafe, and our favourite ones are the uncoolest ones. Yes, welcome to the world of stats nerds, geeks and data freaks. To help us battle our way through one of Europe's coolest statistical competitions, we're lucky to have in the Wrap Cafe today. Let me welcome Kelly Sabbe. She is the Statistical Literacy Coordinator at StatBel, the Belgian Statistical Office, who's working on the front lines of data education and curriculum engagement in schools. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be invited and to be here today.
Wonderful, great. And we also have Ioannis Xirouchakis, who is the head of unit for Dissemination and User Support at Eurostat, who brings a European-wide perspective on how official stats are communicated and understood across member states. Ioannis, welcome.
Many thanks, Jonathan. Very happy to be here.
And we have Nikoleta Šlachtová, Director of the Dissemination Directorate at the Statistical Office of the Slovak Republic, who's helping bring statistics to life through national education initiatives and international collaboration. Nikoleta, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here and looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. So, well, everyone grab your headphones and maybe a calculator. Let's dive in. Ioannis, makes sense to come to you first at Eurostat. Can we just talk a little bit about statistical literacy before we get to the competition itself? It's a rather dry term, statistical literacy, but it is incredibly important, and you're in the business of promoting it among many other things. Can you just tell us why you think statistical literacy is so important in today's information-saturated society?
I would say that statistical literacy is important so that we can all engage critically with data and statistics in our everyday lives. Statistical literacy is probably missing today. And this is why promoting statistical literacy, especially among young people, is the first strategic objective of Eurostat's new communication and dissemination strategy. Eurostat ran a wide Eurobarometer survey in late 2023. And the first question was, do you trust information more or less if it is backed up by statistics and data? And I was personally astonished to see that 60% of the respondents do not trust information more when backed up by statistics and data. This is not only surprising, it is also worrying. And if I exaggerate a little bit, this implies that someone, a politician, an influencer if you want, can claim whatever they want, and 60% may simply believe it without asking for any supporting evidence.
That's amazing. We've seen in the news how easy it is for the powerful to assert all kinds of things and how readily millions believe it. How then can the next generation be equipped to challenge the powerful when it comes to facts? Kelly, it would be great to come to you now to talk about how you think statistical literacy can work in the context of young people and how to help them have a better understanding of the issues as they're expressed by the data. What do you think the role of statistical literacy has for young people?
We believe it's not just about official statistics, but about understanding broader societal issues like poverty, like inflation. It's very important for young people to understand certain concepts like data uncertainty, false data, false information.
It certainly is, isn't it? I mean, nobody likes uncertainty. They want strong, clear guidelines. They don't like shades of grey. But that is the foundational part of statistical literacy. It's understanding outliers, understanding gaps in knowledge that you have to fill in scientifically.
Yes, indeed. We use official statistics within our context to teach those concepts, but it's transferable knowledge that they can use in everyday life, for example, to verify the claims that influencers make.
Absolutely. And maybe this is where the fact checker and the growing importance and popularity of fact-checking organisations come in. I can't help wondering if we've lost the art of debate and we've lost the art of sceptical, challenging and alternative views. Let's step out of the rap cafe for a moment now and see what people in the street think.
True that nowadays people are becoming more lazy, and I think that should be changed.
I think that because the information is given in such short bursts, there is a school of thought that you lose concentration after 20 minutes, and perhaps that generation have small snapshots of lots of information that they can piece together to read a bigger picture.
Ioannis, the problem is easy to state, but what do we do about solving it? How do we promote statistical literacy, and what are the challenges in promoting it?
The major challenge is that interest in mathematics and other sciences is declining in our society. My son had difficulties last year finding out how to apply for medicine in Germany. And well, I told him, ask your German colleagues. And he said, my German colleagues cannot advise me because no one intends to study to become a doctor. It simply does not pay off. So a small portion of students wanted to study mathematics or engineering. No wonder why we are lacking doctors and engineers in Western Europe. It requires special efforts to promote statistical literacy in a society where interest in mathematics and other sciences is generally low.
Yes, it is well documented that there is a decline in numeracy in the EU and the US, and it is especially prevalent among young people. Kelly, what do you think of the challenges in engaging young people with official statistics? What do you see as the headline difficulties there?
Yeah, we face those same challenges and same problems. Furthermore, in Belgium, we face declining PISA scores for mathematics and related concepts. And any attempt to reform those curricula are slow to yield results. And this is because once you see a declining score and you want to change something, you want to innovate the way we teach those concepts, we teach statistics, it takes a lot of time before you see the actual results, a minimum of 6 years. There have been changes in the past and these were not fruitful. So we have to change again. We have to innovate again. We have to reform again. But those results will only be visible at the earliest 5-6 years.
Can you just explain for us what a PISA score is and why it's significant?
So within Europe, in all countries, tests are being conducted, I believe, every 2 years to benchmark the level of mathematics understanding and education. Not really the education, but the scores and the understanding of the students. And then you can benchmark yourself over time, but also in relation to other countries.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, Nikoleta, I'm just going to ask you whether in Slovakia it's the same picture.
Yeah, I think so. It's very similar. Slovak schools traditionally focus on tests with time limits, which creates barrier to deeply engage with the statistics. And I think it's very important to prepare programs, projects, and learning materials in an engaging way that also allows students to have some fun. So they will not see it as a very difficult subject or boring subject.
Absolutely. The great thing about the video competition is that it promotes an important part of statistics, which is presentation and communication. Nikoleta, give us an overview. The competition for 2025 is underway. How does it work? Who gets involved? And what do they have to do? And what's the result?
The European Statistical Competition started in 2017-2018. It's initiated by Eurostat with National Statistical Institutes, and from 11,000 students in 11 countries, the competition has grown to almost 27,000 students in 21 countries.
So the videos are then produced and judged, and then there are clear winners. What do you think makes a really good video? I mean, what are the characteristics of a real clear winner?
In my opinion, it's important how the data will be transferred to some storytelling, like to understand not just the data, but to understand the story behind what is telling us about the society or about the problem or about the development.
In the end, statistics aren't really about numbers, are they? They're about people and what they do and how the world works. They're actually about stuff that's out there. And some of the videos I saw when I was a judge last year really wonderfully explained that and did it in a very clever way with lots of mini dramas. There was quite a lot of acting involved and dialogue and a lot of comedy. It was a joy to watch and full of fun and interest. Let's hear from one of the teachers of the pupils participating in the competition now. Olga Gregoriadou from the American Farm School in Thessaloniki in Greece is a seasoned operator when it comes to the statistics competition. She's coached students through 7 of them, and earlier she spoke to me about the joys and challenges of making the videos.
When I came back to Greece, I realized that there is not much statistics in the Greek maths curriculum in middle school. Actually, there's very little in one of the grades and nobody actually teaches it in the end. So for me, there was a gap there, especially in our age with so much information that we're bombarded with every day. This competition has a very good way to bring students close to statistics. So that's one of the strengths for me for this competition. It's a very interesting way to have them want to learn statistics. They should learn how to be a bit more critical when they're looking at data. I like that they develop this critical thinking. They have to look into, Eurostat data and the local statistics. They can judge which source is trustworthy and which is not.
Kelly, gaming is a huge part of the culture of young people from quite an early age. And it's hardly surprising that it's being used for teaching. Just unpack that a little bit for us. What difference does it make to this kind of subject?
Well, teachers are always looking for engaging ways to teach certain subjects. And if I think about statistics, then I think that you can have really, really dull courses, really theoretical courses, but you won't reach the students. They will not see the story behind the data. They will approach it from a very mathematical way. And by introducing statistics like in a game, a quiz where they can compete within schools against other schools. And afterwards, by making a video, they really search for the story behind the data. They really go more in depth in those data and they learn transferable skills. It's not only about the statistics anymore, but really, what do they want to say? What's the story behind it? What can we do with it? And that's a very important aspect of this competition, I believe.
It seems to me a no-brainer that statistics, which can already be communicated wonderfully through infographics, could be presented visually through other media. It seems obvious. So maybe if there are games developers out there, please get in touch with Eurostat. Maybe we can have a conversation about how to make stats fun through gaming. Ioannis, Eurostat never sleeps. You're always innovating and developing and getting better and trying to find out how you can do things in a more successful way. The European Statistics Competition is a fantastic success story. As Nikoleta was telling us, it's grown and grown. So what next? What would be your ambition for the ESC looking forward?
starting already this year, Jonathan. I would like our competition to have a greater European emphasis. Statistical literacy is also about becoming better European citizens. And with initiatives like this, we demonstrate that we put our hopes, our faith in the young Europeans. Since we are all in this together, the Europeans, we could do more together. We can organize in parallel our national activities during the national stage of the competition. We can follow together the European stage of the competition, not to stop at the national stage. Maybe watch the European finals together, like the European Cup. And why not? We can make our competition the Eurovision of statistical literacy, if you like.
Nikoleta, just share with us some of the stories from Slovakia, because you've got a really close eye on things there. And I think you've got a really special account of someone who really succeeded against the odds. Do share that with us.
We had a student with autism who started in the first year. He needed to work alone. In the first year, he finished on the 4th place, and in the second year, he continued and improved and finished on the 2nd place. And this story was very much recognized by media as well. And it was very inspiring that also students with maybe some learning difficulties can be very successful.
Kelly, what do you make of that? I mean, you've got some experience of how neurodivergent students and people with educational needs engage with the competition. Would you like to share that with us?
In Belgium, we see that the most teams that make it to the final stage of the competition, so the best 20 videos, are teams from more heavy mathematical curriculum and from really well-established schools. But we also have special schools. We call it type schools, type 9 education, specifically for people with autism and everything within that spectrum. And this year we had amongst the 20 finalists teams from those schools. And we got some great feedback during the award ceremony. They love this kind of competition because for them it's working together in a team. It's something that's quite challenging if you have autism, or can be quite challenging, but also they could really go in depth. And the fact that they were able to participate in this kind of competition and make it to the final stage, they were so proud of themselves, but also the teachers were so proud of their students that they were really looking forward to go and study at university something with statistics. They were like really triggered by it. They were so happy.
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, that is the secret. That is what education does at its best, is to get people enthusiastic and excited, and to take the kind of what can I say, the heavy lifting out of it, and to turn it into something which is really inspirational. That's a fantastic story.
It's early education, statistics and education. If it's taught at an early age to allow young people to have an understanding of that, although there are other elements. You mentioned the AI earlier on. If children are taught at an early age the importance of the overall numeracy and statistics and the value of that, and how AI moving forward can help them develop that skill, then by all means I would certainly encourage that at an earlier stage in life rather than people trying to learn it when they're a bit older.
Kelly, how important is it for you to get the educational system thinking about this? What's your experience of the way that statistics is discussed in schools?
Collaboration with educators and teachers is vital for us. We need to train the teachers, the educators, so they in turn can inspire young people in their classrooms. The problem indeed is that teachers see statistics as a branch of mathematics, only distantly relevant to the real world, and stats are something scary. Statistics are very scary, and they try to sideline it in their own curricula or into a special category. But many teachers, even those with an economic background, are hesitant to touch the subject of statistics because they lack a bit of confidence, and there we can play a vital role to really go and teach the teachers, train the trainers.
Well, while it's true, I guess, that some teachers don't like statistics, and most school systems don't include a dedicated subject on statistics or data analysis, let's hear from one of those who not only teaches the subject but also knows how to get the best from students competing in the competition. Christos Anastasiadis is a teacher from Laniteo Lyceum, one of the largest and most historic high schools in Limassol, Cyprus. He's been continuously involved in the competition since it started and has enjoyed a number of triumphs nationally and at the European level along the way.
Most school curricula or syllabus don't really include applied statistics. We teach some theory, formulas, and maybe a few graphs, but students rarely get the chance to work with real data. So this competition actually fills that gap. For many of them, it was the first time they saw how statistics could be exciting and useful. They loved the teamwork, the challenge of finding, analyzing, and presenting real data, and for some of them, the creative part of making video. The strength of the competition is that it brings statistics for students to life. It's not about solving problems on a paper. With this competition, have to think, have to research, have to discuss, and have to present. The best benefit is that they use real data. They explore real topics like misinformation, inflation, or even COVID, and they learn how to explain things clearly. It gives students a practical experience that the school system often misses.
So we're nearly out of time today, but reflecting back on statistical literacy, does it really make sense to say that young people don't like numbers? I think they love numbers. You just have to get people talking about social media statistics, for example, and how many followers on Instagram they have, or likes on Facebook and hits on TikTok. Those numbers are fascinating. And my teenage nephew will talk to you endlessly about football scores and sports statistics, and my niece about carbon dioxide levels and melting glaciers. Young people, and all of us, are constantly preoccupied with quantification of all kinds. The question has to be how to get that energy into the actual education and understanding of societal issues, particularly societal statistics and the things that official statistics deal with. Ioannis, just tell me what you think can be done to get that happening.
Young people are drawn into entertaining stories, mistakes, problems, but this should not create a disconnect from what is happening in the real world. So in my opinion, statistics in schools should be taught in relation to real world problems. For example, what do official statistics tell us today about poverty, equality, innovation? Do we have evidence that climate change is real? I would even say that statistics are signals for upcoming crises. If I were a teacher in school, I would start with population projections, for example. How many children do you expect in our class in the end of the century? How many inhabitants in our country? Will there be more grandchildren or more grandparents in the country? So we may not be around in year 2100. Certainly I will not. But our students and their children will still be around, and they will have to deal with the results of the policies of today.
Yes, it certainly is. Kelly, I guess a 15-year-old is not really going to get worried about GDP or about inflation or salaries or migration statistics and how they're reported, because it just doesn't affect their lives from day to day. So how do we make official statistics relevant and relatable to young people?
I think the challenge for us is to get the data and bring them as close to the young people, to the students as possible. Search for data, statistics that are relevant for their life, that are relevant for their environment, like, for example, the nationalities within their city, the number of schools, the number of inhabitants, how will it evolve? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you going to stay in the same city? Will there be more or less inhabitants? So really search for the data as close as possible to their environment and try to translate them in something that they can get a grip on, that they understand.
Yes, absolutely. And handling uncertainty, because the world is full of uncertainty. And And young people are acutely aware of that as they mature into their young adulthood. Nikoleta, just tell us what you think from this European statistics competition. What does it do for young people in practical terms? How does it change their lives? How does it change their educational approach to stats? What's your experience?
I think the competition effectively connects students with the real world data. They can work with them in the way which is more close to their age. Very important is to find the activities. So the language or competition or type of the projects or events should be designed how they perceive it or what they like.
Make it relevant, make it fun. Keep them enthusiastic. I mean, that's education, isn't it? I mean, that's when education is at its best. People, this has been a wonderful, wonderful tour of the European Statistics Competition and its importance in spreading statistical literacy and encouraging statistical thinking among young people and hopefully equipping them with critical thinking as they grow into adulthood. Thank you so much for your contributions today. I'm deeply indebted, and it remains for me only to say thank you very much, first of all, to Kelly Sabbe from StatBel. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
And Ioannis Xirouchakis, thank you so much from Eurostat for your contributions today.
Many thanks, Jonathan and the colleagues. It was very exciting.
The Statistical Office in the Slovak Republic, Nikoleta Šlachtová, thank you very much for your contributions today.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you've enjoyed Stats in a Wrap, don't forget to follow us on social media and share our adventures with friends and colleagues, where the show can be found on Spotify, Apple, and all the usual places. And if you'd like to know more about the topics covered in this podcast and practically every aspect of statistics in the EU, you should make your way to Eurostat's amazing educational resource, Statistics Explained, which is packed with infographics, videos, and explainers of all kinds. It's really worth checking out. And of course, come to the Wrap Cafe for the next edition, in which we'll be digging into the powerful and sometimes controversial world of population statistics. That's all the numbers you could ever want to know about you and me, and yes, our ages, genders, and where we live, and many other things. Big brother and sister may be watching us, but is that necessarily a bad thing? Join us to find out. But for now, goodbye.